Thanks, Jack. He's good with mics. I don't know. I got a problem with my car. I don't know if you're around either. For Congress or our federal government to mandate a health care program is unconstitutional. It's illegal. Our federal government can't mandate that we buy any specific product or service. That is purely illegal. Secondly, I guess one more comment I have about that is be very wary when politicians, when they parade around something as a humanitarian effort, look a little deeper to make sure it's not tyranny. Somebody has to ask, tell me how it is that if we don't have, according to the Democrats, if we have a health care policy that isn't quite up to par, we can be fined or put in jail under their plan. But if we have a Cadillac plan, it's too nice for what they think we should have. We get punished with a high tax on that plan. So you can't have it both ways. I don't think the government should be in the business of punishing people for behaving in a way that they don't like. Secondly, 3,000 pages of legalese that no one understands is not possible for us to comply with. We have a tax code like that, and nobody understands it, and it's a horrendous problem. So I can't imagine taking my child for an ear infection to the doctor without bringing a lawyer under their scenario. And the lawyer can haggle with them. The second part of the question, I think all costs related to our health care should be tax-free. That will lower the cost for everybody 20 to 30%. We should eliminate fraud in Medicare. It's costing us tens of billions every year. We should have tort reform, same kind of savings. We need to basically increase free market forces on our health care providers. And I like the idea of price transparency in relation to that and a number of other things. So there are some very obvious things that are being ignored, and I think they should be completed incrementally, and they can be done fairly quickly.
Mr. Allen.
I think the public plan is a terrible idea, and I think that the American people know that. And it just highlights how critically important this election really is. I think we see things going in the wrong direction. We've got to have some new people down there and stop what's happening right now. Public plan, it just shows that those who are pushing this health care bill really don't get it. We don't need to have the federal government more deeply involved in our hospitals, clinics, and our health care. There are some ideas that are showing promise in other places. Health savings accounts, for instance, put the user of the health care in a position where they actually are expected to choose the services that they want, who they go to, when they get them, what they would like to pay for that. That has shown great promise in Indiana. The higher deductible policies can be helpful. We also know that competing insurance plans can produce more advantageous rates. Why in North Dakota, for instance, can you not buy from Blue Cross Blue Shield a Chevrolet insurance policy, a policy that covers the things you feel are essential, but maybe you don't have to take coverage on some other things. Those are all areas that can save in meaningful ways in healthcare. And the idea of a mandate is just craziness. It shows you that this administration in Washington today really believes that they can tell people that we're going to add 30 million more people, we're going to have more coverage, we're going to have more requirements, and then can turn around and actually say that we will save tax dollars. Where is the credibility in that?
Thank you. In the interest of time, don't want to wrap up this initial part here at 8 o'clock so you guys can refresh your water, and then we'll open it up to the public out here. I don't want you to be fearful if I'm missing that. So we're going to skip. I had a question on states' rights, and yeah, I think you guys sound pretty conservative in that area. So we'll assume that support the state's rights. What we're gonna do is we're gonna lob a softball out here. Being we're in North Dakota, it's an energy policy question. I've already heard it mentioned a couple times here, and we'll start with Mr. Kramer, of course. Again, it's a bit of a softball. Under any circumstances, would you support any form of carbon trading policy legislation or any green initiative devised, I'm being real technical here, folks, because you got to read between the lines, devised and or supported or funded by any Wall Street trading firms or other special interest groups. Kind of in a nutshell, when you look at cap and trade, that is really what it is. Do you support any type of legislation that even resembles cap and trade or cap and trade?
I think about this once in a while. You know the old Barbara Mandrell song, I Was Country, when the country wasn't cool? I was anti-cap and trade before most people had even heard of it. And there's a wonderful piece on my website that Rush Limbaugh did, acknowledging that early opposition to cap and trade. And by the way, all this other stuff about devised or supported by a Wall Street trading firm, I don't care who is devising it. Anything that adds cost to something as important and critical as energy is bad. I don't care if you call it cap and tax, cap and trade, but the fact that you would create an auction and you would turn it over to the very people who gave us Enron and who've given us pretty much every disaster, financial disaster in recent times, is even more egregious, and I, for the life of me, cannot understand how the very liberals who rail against Wall Street are the same ones that concocted this crazy scheme that, according to our president, necessarily causes electric rates to skyrocket. Make no mistake, whether it's healthcare reform, cap and trade, or any number of other things, it all comes back to one thing: controlling your life. They want to control which car you drive, they want to control your energy choices, and for North Dakotans it's especially egregious because 95% of our electricity is generated by burning lignite coal. We have the 4th lowest electricity rates in the country. If we didn't even have an energy industry, which is critically important to America's security and our economy, it's a bad idea. It unilaterally disarms America's economy in the global marketplace because you think the Chinese and in India are going to institute these kinds of restrictions on their economy? No way. I'm against it, and I don't care, and I have been so disappointed in some of our utility executives, especially the CEO of Xcel Energy, who ran to Washington, D.C. to quickly tell them, we need cap and trade, get it passed quickly so we have regulatory certainty. And I said, if I'm the last man standing that says, no way, I will be that person. There is no way to compromise on this issue.